After everything that had already unfolded between Joey and Vanessa, not after the awkward wait that still lingered from that double date with Carlton and Nicole, and yet somehow the tension only deepened. It thickened in the air like something waiting to break. And right at that moment, Randy chose to step in, uninvited, unwelcome, and dangerously confident. I could almost feel the shift before a single word was spoken, because Joey is not the kind of man who tolerates interruptions, especially not when his mood has already been dragged through irritation and barely contained anger. Randy knew that. He had to know that. And yet he walked in anyway, as if he had already calculated the risk and decided it was worth taking. That alone tells me everything. Randy was not there casually. He was there because whatever he had to say mattered more than his own safety, or at least he believed it did. Vanessa saw it too. She read Joey in a way that only someone close enough could. She noticed the subtle tightening of his jaw, the way his eyes sharpened just slightly, the way his posture shifted from relaxed to alert. She did not ask questions. She did not linger. She simply excused herself, almost gracefully, as if she understood that what was about to unfold was not meant for her ears. That decision alone says a lot about her awareness, and maybe even her instincts about danger. Joey let Randy sit, which in itself was a signal, because if Joey truly wanted him gone, Randy would not have even made it 2 steps into the space. Instead, Joey allowed it, but there was no warmth, no patience, just a quiet readiness, like a predator allowing its prey to come closer before deciding what to do next. And then Joey did something that I find incredibly telling. He did not dance around the issue. He did not test Randy with small talk or indirect questions. He went straight to the point. That kind of directness only comes from certainty, from knowing exactly why the other person is there. Joey already knew, or at least he believed he did, and that belief shaped everything that followed. He accused Lynette and Haley of running a scam on Bill, not as a theory, not as a suspicion, but as a fact. That is important because it means Joey has either seen something concrete or he has connected enough pieces to feel confident. And then he turned that accusation toward Randy, not explicitly at first, but with a warning that carried far more weight than the words themselves. He made it clear that if Randy was involved, even indirectly, he would not be able to protect him. That is not just a threat. It is a declaration of boundaries, Joey drawing a line and telling Randy that whatever game is being played, he is not willing to shield anyone caught on the wrong side of it. Randy, however, did what Randy always seems to do. He played ignorant. He acted as though Lynette was barely more than a distant acquaintance, as if the name meant little to him. On the surface, it might have seemed convincing, but I do not believe for a second that Joey was fooled. Joey is far too observant, far too experienced to take something like that at face value. What fascinates me here is that Joey did not immediately call him out on the lie. Instead, he let it hang, like he was measuring Randy's reactions, watching for cracks, waiting to see how far Randy would push the act. That restraint is strategic. It tells me Joey is not just reacting emotionally, he is thinking ahead. At the same time, Randy is holding something back, and I can feel it in the way he chooses his words, in the way he deflects rather than denies with conviction. The mention of Orphe Jean lingers in the background, like a shadow, something unresolved, something that connects Lynette to Joey in a way that complicates everything. Randy knows more than he is saying. That much is obvious. But he also knows exactly what not to reveal. That is the dangerous part, because it means he is not just a bystander, he is an active participant in something much larger, something that is still unfolding beneath the surface. Then Randy shifts the conversation, and this is where things get even more interesting. He does not try to defend himself aggressively. He does not escalate. Instead, he makes a request. He tells Joey not to inform Bill, and he tries to redirect Joey's focus toward Vanessa and her daughter Deanna. That move is calculated. It is not random. Randy is trying to change the narrative, to pull Joey's attention away from Lynette and Haley and towards something more personal, something that might distract him or at least divide his priorities. But here's the thing. Joey is not easily manipulated, especially not when he already suspects something bigger is at play. The suggestion that staying silent would somehow benefit Randy is almost naive, or perhaps it is a sign of desperation disguised as confidence. Joey responds in a way that cuts through all of it. He says that Bill will find out on his own. That line carries a different kind of threat. because it removes Joey from the equation. It suggests that the truth is inevitable, that whatever is being hidden cannot stay hidden forever. Randy, however, pushes back, and this is where his arrogance becomes undeniable. He claims that Bill will not discover anything, and even if he does, it will be too late. That statement is chilling, not just because of what it implies, but because of how certain Randy sounds. He believes he has control over the outcome. He believes he can dictate how and when things unfold, and that belief is rooted in something very specific, something much darker. The mention of Bill possibly lying in a hospital bed, waiting to die, is not just a hypothetical. It is a glimpse into Randy's plan, or at least what he thinks is going to happen. And suddenly, everything starts to align. The pieces that seem scattered begin to form a pattern. Haley's involvement becomes critical here, because if she is indeed administering something to Bill, something harmful, then Randy's confidence makes sense. He is not just hoping for an outcome. He is relying on a process that is already in motion. But here is where the situation becomes unpredictable, because Bill is not as unaware as Randy believes. There are signs that Bill has already started to suspect something, that he is not blindly trusting what is being given to him. And more importantly, he is not alone. Naomi and Kat are actively working to expose Haley, which means the window for Randy's plan to succeed is closing, whether he realizes it or not. This creates a fascinating tension, because on one side you have Randy convinced that he is ahead of everyone else, convinced that his plan is foolproof. On the other side you have Bill, Naomi, and Kat quietly gathering evidence, slowly pulling at the threads that could unravel everything. And in the middle of all this is Joey, standing at a crossroads. He has enough information to be suspicious, enough instinct to know something is wrong, but not yet enough proof to act decisively. That position is dangerous, because it means any move he makes could either expose the truth or play directly into Randy's hands. What I keep coming back to is Randy's decision to confront Joey in the first place. It feels almost contradictory, because if his plan depends on secrecy, why risk drawing attention to himself? Why provoke someone like Joey, someone who is already inclined to dig deeper? Unless, of course, Randy believes that he can control Joey as well, or at least influence him enough to keep him from interfering. That level of confidence borders on recklessness, and in a situation like this, recklessness is often the beginning of a downfall. Joey's reaction will be crucial moving forward, because he is not the type to ignore something that does not sit right with him. Even if he does not act immediately, the seed of doubt has already been planted, and that doubt will grow. Vanessa's role also cannot be ignored, because her connection to Joey gives her a unique position. She may not know the full extent of what is happening, but she is perceptive enough to sense when something is off. And if Joey begins to share even fragments of his concerns, she could become an unexpected ally in uncovering the truth. At the same time, Deanna becomes a subtle but important factor, because Randy specifically mentioned her. That was not accidental. It suggests that she is somehow relevant to whatever Randy is trying to divert attention toward. Whether she is directly involved or simply a distraction remains to be seen, but her presence adds another layer to the situation. What makes all of this so compelling is the way each character operates with partial knowledge. No one has the full picture. Everyone is working with fragments, assumptions, and instincts. And in that kind of environment, even the smallest decision can have massive consequences. Randy believes he is orchestrating events, that he is one step ahead, but that belief may be his greatest weakness, because while he is focused on executing his plan, he may be underestimating the people around him, especially Bill. Bill's awareness changes everything, because it introduces unpredictability into a plan that relies on control. If Bill starts to act, even subtly, it could disrupt the entire scheme before it reaches its intended conclusion. Naomi and Kat's involvement amplifies that risk, because they are not just passive observers. They are actively trying to expose Haley, which means they are likely gathering evidence, connecting dots, and preparing to confront her. If they succeed, even partially, it could trigger a chain reaction that brings everything into the open. And once that happens, Randy's position becomes incredibly fragile. Joey, meanwhile, is in a position to accelerate that process even without realizing it. His suspicion alone could lead him to investigate further, to ask questions, to observe more closely. And in doing so, he could uncover something that Randy never intended to be seen. The dynamic between Joey and Randy is particularly intense because it is built on a mix of mistrust, unspoken threats, and underlying knowledge. They are both aware that the conversation they had was not just casual. It was a test, a probe, a moment where each tried to gauge the other's intentions. And I cannot shake the feeling that Randy may have revealed more than he intended, not through what he said directly, but through the confidence he displayed. That kind of confidence often comes from believing you have already won, and that is when mistakes happen. As I think about what comes next, I keep circling back to one question. How long can Randy maintain control before the cracks start to show? Because they will show, they always do, especially when multiple people are pulling at the same thread from different directions. Bill's survival becomes the central uncertainty because everything hinges on it. If he remains strong, if he continues to resist whatever is being done to him, then Randy's plan begins to crumble. But if he falters, if the poison takes effect before the truth is exposed, then the consequences could be irreversible. And that is what makes this so tense, the sense that time is running out, that every moment matters, that every decision carries weight. Joey stands at the edge of something he does not fully understand yet, but he is close, closer than Randy probably realizes. And once he steps further in, once he commits to uncovering the truth, there will be no turning back. Randy, for all his confidence, may have just set that process in motion by showing up when he did, by saying what he said, by underestimating the impact of that encounter. I can see it unfolding already, the slow unraveling, the shifting alliances, the moments of realization that change everything. And at the center of it all is a fragile balance, one that could tip at any second. Because in a story like this, it is never just about the plan, it is about the people involved, their instincts, their fears, their decisions under pressure. And right now, every one of them is being pushed closer to a breaking point. And when that point is reached, there will be no more pretending, no more deflection, no more carefully constructed lies, only the truth and whatever consequences come with it.